I think they're self-seeding, and that's a lesson to me to be more aware and careful of what I plant and where I plant it, because now I might be fighting these seedlings for years to come. What's up? Today I am going out to clean out the garden bed that I have neglected for quite some time. It has some very old, very sad flowers in it, and I thought I would bring you along, talk about life, tell you about my greenhouse, which I'm super excited about. But first, I have to mow because our lawn is in the stage where it's growing continuously. It has cool weather and a lot of rain, plus sunshine, and it's just growing all the time. And so I have to what am I saying? I have to mow about 2 times a week now in order for it to be manageable. So I'm gonna go do that first. If you haven't seen my mowing video, I'll pop it up right here and you can check it out and see what it's like to mow a giant backyard. I will go do that and then we will get started on the garden bed. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Lawn is mowed and it looks really good, if I do say so myself. It's actually not that great. And more importantly, I can now find dog poos to pick them up. That's important. You wanna come out? So dramatic. Come on, you coming, Sadie? Why is that such an ordeal? Our patio is an absolute mess. And the truth of the matter is it's just messy all the time. Look at that though. I have dog beds down here, hoses, construction tools, all these plants, really old vegetables that I can't bring myself to throw away because it feels so wasteful. And yet I don't want to use them because they're giants. They just live on the patio table, apparently forever. This is the bed that I am going to be cleaning out today. My whole entire garden is really sad looking. So that's the rest of it out there. And then I have another bed here, and it all needs to be cleaned up and get ready for the fall. You are going to witness some gardener neglect, and I apologize in advance. Do as I say, not as I do. And I think that's like every gardener's motto is we know all the good advice and all the good things we should do, but then when it comes to practice, there's just never enough hours in the day. I'm a little embarrassed, but you're gonna see it and it'll be fine. I watch gardening channels and there's these beautiful women who garden with their hair down. And I've tried it because it looks beautiful and it's just kind of this romantic, whimsical feel. And every time I end up just like eating my own hair. I'm tangled in it. I can't see what I'm doing because I have so much hair. I don't know about you, but that's the way it goes for me. Are you gonna help me? You're gonna eat all these tomatoes? We need gardening gloves. This bed has probably been the most neglected out of all of the beds this year. It has a volunteer tomato plant. I don't know if nope, you can't see it. We have this volunteer tomato plant that comes back in this bed every year, and it is because I let the sheep clear out the garden bed the first year, just that first year, 4 years ago, and every year since then, it comes back. So it just self-seeds, I don't know how, but it volunteers, and it's still producing a lot of fruit, as you can see. It's got these beautiful, I think they're called yellow pear tomatoes, and they're really good and really sweet, but they are starting to split, unfortunately, because we're getting a lot of rain, and when you get a lot of rain that's inconsistent with tomatoes, they can expand really quickly and split. And that is what's happening here. You can see on this one, it's splitting, and we're getting a lot of these, so I'm just going to take this tomato plant out because it's past the season when it's useful and when it's producing fruit that we're going to want to eat. But I will pick off the usable fruit off of this plant before I take it out. Oh, I am the worst at getting before shots, but I remembered this time before I really got into the thick of it. So here's the before shot. This is what the garden bed looks like before. It has some beets that have been in there a really long time. Walter just stole the tomato I plucked off that was edible. He's only supposed to eat the ones that are split. What a naughty little pill. That first row is beets that have been neglected, and then behind that is just a wildflower seed mix that I used for a pollinator garden. I had bought it many, many years ago on an impulse, and it turns out they survived. I just planted them because I felt like they're probably going bad at this point, but now they're here, so yay. And then I also have that volunteer tomato plant and a bunch of borage back there that is beautiful, but now completely lying down and needs to be cleaned out. And now I have to stop this bad little beagle from eating the rest of my picked tomatoes. This is what I was referring to when I said neglected beets. These are very neglected and giant. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's a carrot that I missed at some point. Has been forgotten and is quite thick for our garden at least, and apparently has been nibbled on by someone at some point. Critter, pest, I don't know, but carrot. I have read recipes that you can use borage in certain cocktails and things like that, and I'm very interested because it's such a pretty flower. I absolutely love these flowers. I haven't tried any yet, and I'm not going to try any this year, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these out, but I'm going to grow these again because I loved the look of these. They're so beautiful. I love the texture. I love the color. Absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't grown borage yet, I highly recommend it. This island of misfit toys for produce over here. It's just like that one random carrot and all these oddly formed beets. Maybe I'll do something with those. I had to show you this because this is my first year growing borage, and maybe all of you are at home going, oh, just wait and see. But for me, it's very shocking that it's this large of a stalk. That's really big. That's a giant stalk and a giant plant. So, wow. Since this whole bed has been covered in those wild pollinator flowers, I haven't been able to weed this year, and there is a ton. I don't know what this is. I have to look it up. I can't remember. But there's a ton of this vine just growing in the beds, and it has really taken off in this area in general in the last couple of years, as has bindweed. Fun. So I'm going to need to weed this bed as well. It's not as important as it would be in most years because this bed, along with this whole area, is being completely reworked and completely redone. So it isn't as important as most years, but I still don't like to leave the weeds to flourish because it can get out of hand pretty quickly, especially this time of year when we have cooler weather, more rain, and still have some sunny days that make the weeds just take off. Look at this. Look at how insanely thick that is. Maybe everybody else is already hip to this and I'm just really late to the game, but oh my gosh, borage is insane. It is super thick and intense and grows really, really well. So I might need to be careful about where I plant it when I plant it in the new garden space. Is spotted spurge. I know the name of this one because it really is just so frustrating and so prolific in our area. I wish that there was some magic solution. I don't like to spray. So unless we're really inundated with something, and even then I just don't like spray, kind of is something I constantly have to pick out of the ground. So the broad strokes are pretty much done. That was really quick work, but that was the easy part, was just yanking all the big pieces out. I need to go through and now weed everything. Is this crooked? Yes, it is. There we go. So what was I saying before I was sideways. I need to go through and do some finer weeding because there are a lot of weeds in the garden bed still. I've also noticed, lesson to myself, I impulsively planted these. Gosh, I hope the audio is okay. It's really windy. I also impulsively planted these seeds this spring because I had the packets, I'd had them for years, and I thought, you know what, they're gonna go bad if I don't plant them soon. So I planted them impulsively in this garden bed because I didn't have anything else planned for that back row. And it looks like they're pretty aggressive self-seeders. I'm finding patches, I'll show you. I'm finding patches of these little seedlings, and they look like little flower seedlings. They don't look like weeds that we have in this area. So I think they're self-seeding, and that's a lesson to me to be more aware and careful of what I plant and where I plant it, because now I might be fighting these seedlings for years to come, like my tomato plant. It's going to be another tomato plant. I mean, maybe if we rework the area, it won't be as bad, but I'll show you what I mean so you can see what I'm talking about as far as the flower seedlings. So as you can see right here, if you pull back these weeds, there are all these little seedlings that are not, I don't think they're weeds. They don't look like any weeds I've encountered in this area. I am fairly certain they are seeds from the flowers that I just pulled out of the ground. So lesson to me, check and see if the flowers I put in the ground impulsively are self-seeders, and maybe make a better plan for that, because, oh, look at this one. Yeah, I have a lot of those. So I pulled out all the big things. You can see that I still have a lot of little weeds like this that I need to pull out of the ground and toss. I feel it's also important to note that if you're like me and you have a burn pile or a compost pile and you have livestock, you're going to want to check and make sure that everything you put in those piles are edible for the livestock you have. So for instance, we have sheep, and certain things can't be put on our burn pile or in our compost pile. Similarly, I'm going to look up things like borage. I know I have cosmos flower in there and a few other flower varieties, and I want to make sure that those are actually edible for our sheep and not going to cause any harm. So it's not just one size fits all for all livestock and all pets. You need to actually look up what livestock and what pets you have and see what's toxic. With certain animals like sheep that are unconventional pets, it can be hard to find this information. I have had the most luck looking at our extension service. I've also had good luck on homesteading websites, so there are a lot of people asking similar questions to the questions I'm asking. That's what's amazing, is so many people are asking the same question, and you can go onto forums and things like that, and people who raise sheep for a living or have experience in this in some way will answer these questions about what you can and cannot give to sheep, where they can forage, where they can graze. So I would highly recommend also just Google searching, because if you're searching for it, other people will be too. I'm not finding anything about borage for sheep, but I am finding it for dogs and cats and cows, and it looks like it's toxic for them, so I'm just not going to chance it, and I'm not going to give them the borage. I'm going to just throw that away and keep them from potentially getting poisoned by the plants I put back there. But everything else I'm going to stick back in the burn pile, and then I will clean up the hose in the garden bed. Okay, it's a little while later because I went in to check the audio on these videos because I was a little concerned about the wind, but it seems like the audio quality is just fine, so I'm going to continue working on the garden bed and pulling out the hose. I also went in and grabbed a sweater. This is like the world's rattiest sweater, but it's so comfortable. Look at that. Look at how ratty it is. This is my husband's sweater from like junior high or something like that. I mean, it's old. I mean, it's not to say he's old. It's old. It's old for a sweater, and it's just super comfortable, and so I love gardening in it and steal it all the time. And of course, Bean wants out. He's always late to the game. You gonna come out, little Bean? So cute. There he goes. He's so cute. First things first though, we're gonna go give the sheep their tomato plant treasures. Oh, great. There are tomatoes now all over the lawn, so that's fun. Sheepy time. Oh, they come running. The most exciting thing is happening. Yes, the most exciting thing. Are you guys ready? Okay, here. Oh, Burton is scared, as usual. Bestest thing ever. Happy sheep. Happy sheep are the best sheep. They really are. While I'm here, I'm just gonna take this broccoli plant because it is really sad. It also got infested with, I think these are aphids. We had really bad aphids this year. Let me see if I can show you. We had horrible aphids this year. I spent most of my time combating them and it was just really frustrating. So I'm gonna just take this because it's infested with aphids. In case you're wondering what I'm pulling out, I use these little metal garden staples to clamp down the soaker hoses every year, and so I like to pull them out. Technically they would rust away and just turn to nothing in the garden, but I like to reuse them, and I also just don't like leaving metal in my garden because I don't want me or the animals to step on it. Really handy tool. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's just like a D-shaped tool or a D-scraper, something like that, because it kind of looks like a D. But it's really nice when I am wanting to do some quick, easy weeding. It allows me to just scrape just beneath the plant and cut off the root from the plant greenery and the foliage. And that really cuts down on my weeding time and is super, super easy. So if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend you get one. And we're done. It's looking really good. I'm leaving the beets in the garden bed. As you can see behind me, those are the beets. I'm leaving those in the garden bed, potentially over winter. Neglect those beets even more than I already have. I just don't have the time right now to process them. I wish the answer were better. Like, oh, I'm overwintering them so that we have something in the winter. We've overwintered beets in the winter. Overwintered beets in the winter. Sounds a bit redundant. We've overwintered beets before in the garden and it worked out just fine. They were a little woody. They weren't too bad. I'm hoping these will be the same, but they're from the spring, so it could very well be that they are the hardest beets I've ever had, and we can't use them. Only time will tell. So I will be protecting those. I believe you're supposed to use mulch to just build it up in case you get a freeze. We don't usually get a really hard freeze here. Typically speaking, in the winter, we've gotten down to 17 before, and that's pretty cold. But for the most part, we usually just stick in the high 20s, low 30s during the nights, and then somewhere in the upper 30s, low 40s during the day in the heart of winter. So they should be okay, and it shouldn't be too bad, but I'll still mulch them up just to be sure. I'm also going to coil up that hose that was fighting me earlier. It does need to be coiled up so it can be stored, so I'm going to do that really quick and then put it in our garden shed. That is some good garden work. Whew! And now we just have to go put it in the garden shed and we'll be done. If this helped get you motivated to do your own winterization in your garden, or if you're doing other projects in the garden, let me know in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more like it. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Ooh, our garden shed. So mysterious. And if you're wondering, is she about to hang that hose on a shoe rack? The answer is yes. The less money I spend on structural, functional stuff, the more money I get to spend on plants. Boom. That just bought me one plant. Nope. Went out of the light. Went out of the light. Oh my gosh, look at that. One step and it's like amazingly better. Up, even better. And I just kicked the tripod. See if I can make my hair whimsical. I have to to get in the shot with the tomato plant. I have to hello! Up close and personal with this tomato plant. These ones are edible and Walter hasn't eaten them. Haha! These are mine!